Kurt, senin evinde kuş sesleri mi geliyor? Dışarıda mı? Ne güzelmiş ya, böyle evimizde. Ha? Açtım. Ses görüntü var. O zaman benim o. Ha yo, ben değilim çünkü ben beğenmedim. Biri beğenmiş. 2 oldum şimdi. Ben de beğendim. 2 oldu. Hı. Bir şey söyleyeceğim. Benim moderatör olduğumu nereden biliyor? Ama ben, sen bana gönderdiğin link moderatör linki mi? Ha. Ha. Okey. Şimdi anladım. Bugün soracağım ve sorabileceğim sorulardan muafık beynim çok yandı sabah 2'den beri. Toplantıdayım, o yüzden saçma sapan sorular çıkabilir. Affınıza sığınıyorum dostlarım.
Arkadaşlar merhaba. Ses ve görüntü var mı acaba? Her şey gözüküyor mu ses? Ses test 1 2. Var. Okey. Bir saniye bekleteceğim şimdi sizi.
Recording in progress.
Hello everyone, hello everyone, and welcome to Tuesday evening. All right, I hope you guys are all well. I got the lessons mixed up, no problem. So as usual, we're going to carry on with some selected excerpts from our lessons, from the morning lesson, and we'll take it from there. All right, and if you have any questions, as usual, you can all shoot them through, and we'll see how we go. Right then, let's just close a few windows here and get smashing. All right, so I hope the sound and the visuals are okay, because I'm having a bit of an internet issue today, but we'll carry on, like I said, with connecting into 110, right? That's what we're going to carry on with. Now, in the morning, as you know, we've started studying the Talmud Esser Sefirot, the study of the 10 Sefirot lessons during the morning lesson. Plus, also, we started studying the Zohar lesson this morning, right? Introduction to the book of Zohar, an article by Baal Salam. So I'm not going to go into those simply because they're technical, and it's best if Rav moves forward with those. And it's best if we stick around with the articles that really touch our hearts when we're trying to connect with the friends. So if you have any questions, as usual, shoot them through, and we'll try to find the answers together from these selected excerpts. So I'm going to read number 5. That's where we left off. And you guys probably have a link, right? Everybody has a link to the excerpts, right? Yes. Okay. All right. So excerpt number 5 from Baal Stam. This is from the article 600,000 Souls. The sign for the body's complete correction is when one feels that one's soul exists in the whole of Israel, in each and every one of them, for which he does not feel himself as an individual, for one depends on the other. At that time, he's complete, flawless, and the soul truly shines on him in its fullest power, as it appeared in Adam Harishon. So as usual, let's read twice, and we'll talk about it as we go along. The sign for the body's complete correction, the body, right? In spirituality, we're not talking about our flesh and bone. We're talking about the desire to receive. So that's what's called a body. And its complete correction is when one feels that one's soul exists in the whole of Israel, which means that I feel all of the friends and all the friends feel me. So we're all interconnected as one unit. So I don't feel me as an individual, but I feel everybody in the 10 together. All right, that's what's called the whole of Israel. Whole of Israel isn't, well, we're not talking about the country of Israel, obviously, right? Israel comes from the word Yashar El, straight to the creator. So a group of people who study the wisdom of Kabbalah in order to bestow contentment to the creator, in order to bestow back to the creator, they're called straight to the creator, Israel. So we're not talking about a country, we're not talking about nationality, and you can't get spiritual because of your country's passport, unfortunately. All right? So that's what the whole thing is all about. And if we all direct ourselves, and if we all feel each other, the desires of everyone, and we can work to fulfill the desires of others, then it means we feel this collective soul of Adam Harishon, which is what we build amongst ourselves throughout the work. All right, so why does not, so what does it say? For which he does not feel himself as an individual, for one depends on the other. Just like my arm cannot feel itself as an individual, it needs to feel the whole body. It needs to feel like it's part of the body and functioning properly with the body. No, otherwise, an arm on its own is not going to be very useful to us. Why? Because we need the brain, we need the mind, we need the whole body to get it to do something, right? So all of us, when we all come together, and then we can feel that unity, then that's called the soul of Adam Harishon. And that's actually how we feel our souls as an individual as well. At that time, he's complete, flawless, and the soul truly shines on him in its fullest power as it appeared in Adam Harishon. So completeness means that I have no thought about myself, because if I'm thinking about myself all the time, it means that I'm actually flawed. Why? Because I'm only thinking about myself because I feel like I lack something, right? So a person who's constantly thinking about fulfilling themselves means that they lack something. So that means they are far away from perfection. So they have flaws. In order to be flawless, it would mean that I never think about myself and feel myself at complete perfection. How can I do that? If I exist above my desire to receive, which is above self-concern. Right, so these are the things that we need to get to, the states that we need to get to in order to feel this collective soul, or this soul that the individual soul or the collective soul, it'll be the same thing once we advance in spirituality together. And that's how you feel perfection, okay? Because whenever you run out of your, you run after your personal desires, it's just a sign that you're lacking things. It's a sign of imperfection. All right. Now, because we're reading excerpts and not the full article, right? So sometimes jumping in here and there could be a little confusing, especially if you're new, right? So if you just kind of dived into the YouTube channel, it's really important that you watch first semester, second semester, third semester, because these lessons are just ongoing every Tuesday to kind of add a little bit of meat to what we already built up as a foundation. All right, so it's good to know that. And if you're already with B'nai Baruch, good on you. You probably have an idea of what we're going through in any case. So excerpt number 6. The root of all the souls above is regarded as thousands, and there all the souls are one. However, when they are drawn downwards, it is impossible to draw them unless by dividing thousands into hundreds. Then each and every soul is drawn down to its place, to the body that belongs to it. And all of man's work is to draw upon himself the light from above downwards, from the quality of thousands to hundreds, the quality of 100, and it is all in order to reveal his truthness. Basically, there are billions of people, right? So we're not working on counting numbers or counting the number of people, or this is not a matter of a population calculation. All right, so the whole concept of this hundreds and thousands is a matter of feeling the unity of the soul as a force. In spirituality, every level is perfection, right? But every level is perfection, and every higher level is greater perfection. So what you have to do is keep building it up. So when we're talking about numbers in the wisdom of Kabbalah, we're talking about the strength of a connection, or the strength of bestowal, or reciprocal, reciprocal action with respect to what the Creator is doing. And as you get higher and higher, that intensity will increase. Just like as we get older in life, the intensity of our lives increase, doesn't it? So from childhood to being a teenager, then you're going out to do your own work, try to look after yourself and your own family, life becomes more and more intense. So spirituality as well, as we grow up, we begin to feel more, understand more, we begin to develop our vessel, so it's bigger and bigger, so that our perception, our consciousness is at a deeper level, and pursuant to that, obviously, we're going to have more complex situations happening. So that's the power of the growth in the vessel as it's perceived by the individual. And our soul, obviously, will feel that more and more, and that also brings and sheds more light into how we perceive the truth. Right? And that's why it's called, it is to reveal his truthfulness. Okay? Just like as we grow up, we discover the truth and facts of life. Same kind of thing. All right, if there are any questions, give me a heads up. Otherwise, I'm just going through. Okay. This is number 7 from Degel Manechem Ephraim. Degel Machane Ephraim. All right, so this is from the flag of Ephraim. One who truly wants to serve the Creator must include himself with all creations. Connect himself with all the souls, include himself with them, and they with him. That is, you should leave for yourself only what is needed for connecting divinity, so to speak. This requires closeness and many people. For the more people serve the Creator, the more the light of holiness appears to them. For this reason, one must include himself with all the people and with all creations, and raise everything to their root, to the correction of the Shekhinah, as to speak. Once again, one who truly wants to serve the Creator must include himself with all creations. Now, serving the Creator, obviously, right, we've talked about this before, the Creator does not need servants. Serving the Creator means that I'm serving the attribute of bestowal. Right? So instead of being an egoist and wanting to get things for myself, if I turn my attribute, my desire to receive, if I use it in order to bestow rather than self-benefit, it means I'm serving the Creator. Okay, because that's how I'm behaving, how I'm acting. Right? Obviously, the Creator doesn't need servants, or the Creator doesn't need us to kind of like worship him or whatever, right? That would be quite egoistic, wouldn't it? How could we talk about a good Creator if it was in this way? So serving the Creator means that I'm serving the attribute of love and bestowal. I'm functioning in that way. And I need to connect myself with all the souls. Why? Because if I get to love more people, I get to be in that inclination and action more and more. This is actually what builds up your vessel, right? Because if you connect with one person, you're only as rich as one person. But if you connect with more and more people, your vessel is richer and richer, right? And the reason why we're all different, all right, everybody has a different face and everybody has a different vessel. So the more vessels I add, I connect it with myself, my perception and my richness and my depth and height of the vessel grows up. So the more it does grow, the bigger it is, the greater understanding, the greater perception, the greater feeling of spirituality I am in. And at the end of the day, we need to connect. We're going to have to connect with everyone, just like I need to connect. I need to be connected with all the organs, with all my cells, with all the tendons, with everything in my body, and to be connected to become one body, right? So the whole of humanity will need to do that. And anyone advancing in spirituality, according to the way we're studying here in the wisdom of Kabbalah, is we have to connect, right? So that connection between people, if it's love and bestowal, it means I'm serving the Creator. I'm acting like the Creator, that is. And the more people I connect to myself in that mutual love, then I've got more depth and more action towards bestowal to more and more and more people. Right? This is why I need to include myself, because if I don't, I become a small person. I don't grow. Just like a person, I don't know, if a person has a very, I don't know, let's say isolated life, right? That person's experience in life is going to be less. Right, from isolated somewhere, I don't know, on top of some mountain, right? Obviously, I'm not interacting with people or whatever. My experience, my in-depth understanding of the world, people, humanity, and so forth is not going to be really the same as a person who's traveled a lot, met a lot of people, and so forth. That is, you should leave for yourself only what is needed for connecting the divinity, so to speak. So in life, it's saying we should just live according to what we need and put the rest of our efforts into connecting everything into our spirituality. Because at the end of the day, the Kabbalists are saying this, listen, we're all going to end up dead, right? Obviously, there's no running away from death. It comes to everyone. So the trick here is how are we going to spend your days? All right, so the Kabbalists are saying you can't serve two kings. So I can't keep running away from corporeal pleasure. I can't keep running towards, or let's say after, corporeal pleasures to the max, and also run after the meaning of life. It's just not going to work out, right? The more successful people you meet in life, you understand that they're focused on one thing. Right? They're focused on one thing and they become really good at it. So the Kabbalists are saying, listen, if you want to be spiritual, just take from life what you need and dedicate the rest of your time into your spiritual growth. And this is what's really important. For this reason, one must include himself with all the people and with all creations. So we start with all the people in the group, okay, because our direction is together aimed at the same thing, at becoming spiritual, obviously, according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, what we're talking about, right? Spirituality, which is mutual love and bestowal, or mutual responsibility, bestowing to others rather than thinking about myself in an egoistic way. I want to think about the others in an altruistic way. For this reason, one must include himself with all the people and with all creations. Now, in the group, that's how we start. And then we're going to have to expand that circle, right? Just like a kid grows up in the family, right? Because they've got mutual connection in the family. So the group is like a mutual connected group of people with the same objective. And after that, what do we have to do? Once we grow in spirituality, I have to go outwards, and I have to step out into life as I grow up. So same in this situation, a person has to grow spiritually and then start enlarging those circles around so that circles can go wider and wider, and that will increase the connection. And that person will increase the connection with the whole of reality, has to increase it, and raise everything to their root, meaning that I have to correct everything inside of me to bestow to the correction of the Shekhinah, so to speak, right? So I have to correct myself. And how can I can only do that when I'm integrated with everyone and then with everything and everyone on the planet. So starting with a small group, just like in a family, when we first start, as a child, and then as we grow up, we have to connect with the rest of the world and start taking care of ourselves, and then we start taking care of others as well, don't we? Right? So in the family, they're taking care of me, and so in a little 10, in a little group, we're taking care of each other, like in a family, and then I have to grow up, I have to look after them, plus I've got to look after the environment as well, those around me, the bigger circle. Okay. Right, yeah. Any questions? No questions, right? Okay, good. So we're going to carry on with excerpt number 9. Let's see where that is. Okay. Now this one's from Rabash. These little excerpts really like put the, it's like nailing it with a hammer. Just a short little excerpt, bang on the nail, and you get the message. Our sages said, in Sanhedrin 39, in every 10 there's divinity. It's known that Malchut is called 10th. It is also known that the receiving Kli is also called the Sephirah Malchut, who is the 10th Sephirah, receiving the upper abundance. She is called will to receive, and all the creatures extend only from her. For this reason, a congregation is no less than 10. Since all the corporeal branches extend from the upper roots. Therefore, according to the rule, there's no light that does not have 10 sephirot in corporeality. Something is not considered a congregation that can be regarded as important unless there are 10 men there, such as the upper degrees. All right, so let's read this again and see what we can get out of it, right? The more we cut it into little bites that we can chew, it'll be like sinking in much better. So our sages said in every 10 there's divinity. So 10 is obviously a structure, right? We're not talking about 10 people corporeally. 10 also as a number of 10 people would be nice as well. But if you had in your group, let's say 5, 6, 7, that's also nice. All right, so no problem there. The important thing is 10 is a structure, the 10 sephirot, all right? It's one complete structure. It's known that Malchut is called the 10th. It's also known that the receiving Kli is also called the Sephirah Malchut, who is the 10th Sephirah, receiving the upper abundance. She's called the will to receive, and all the creatures extend only from her. So all of us extend from this Sephirah called Malchut, which is the will to receive, right? And that's our whole essence. We are a desire to receive pleasure. Okay, and there's no running away from it, and there's no denying it, and we don't need to run away from it or deny it either. We actually want to get pleasure, all right? And the Creator wants to give us pleasure as well. The question is, we don't really know how to get it. So let's see what he's talking about. For this reason, a congregation is no less than 10, since all the corporeal branches extend from the upper roots. So it's saying just because there are 10 sephirot in the roots, it's also good to have 10 people, like not more, not less. However, like I said, though, this is a structure, okay? So don't go around counting heads. If in your 10, there's 7 of you, it's also good. If there's 8, 6, it's good. What you have to do is connect with this intensity called 10. Therefore, according to the rule, there is no light that does not have 10 sephirot in corporeality. Something is not considered a congregation that can be regarded as important unless there are 10 men there, such as the upper degrees. Now then, there's no light that does not have 10 sephirot in corporeality. Corporeality is the will to receive. We're not talking about corporeality as we see with our eyes. A desire to receive is called corporeality if it's for myself, right? A desire to receive for myself is corporeality. So in that situation, in that perception of reality, what we have to do is come to a structure. That structure can be, what is it saying? It can be regarded as important unless there are 10 men there. Men from the word to overcome, right? Gever in Hebrew is from the word hitgabrut, means to overcome. So we're not talking about sexes, obviously. Obviously, as well, when I just said corporeality, we're not talking about our bodies. We're talking about a desire to receive. So a man in a desire to receive is called someone who can be above his will to receive. That's called a man. And if I was not capable of doing that in spirituality, they'd say, hey, you're a girl, right? That's how it pans out, all right? So it's not about the sexes, okay? I know it's a little confusing, right? Because everybody's thinking about sexes in this world, men, women, and so forth. No. A woman is when I'm using my desire to receive for myself and I cannot overcome it, right? My desire to receive is controlling me. However, though, if I'm controlling the desire to receive, if I'm on top of it, then I'm called a man. So this man and woman, this female and male, these are attributes, these are states actually that a person is going through. All right. So once you're in that state, once you're in the other state. I hope that sinks in, okay, because we don't want to be getting confused with all kinds of corporeal, sexes and so forth, because spirituality does not have that kind of stuff. Okay, anybody can attain spirituality regardless of their gender. Right then, excerpt number 10. There must be 10 in the house of assembly at once, and not come bit by bit, so as not to delay the wholeness of the organs. All 10 are as organs of one body in which the Shekhinah is present. For the Creator made man at once and established all his organs together. Okay, so this is nice, short and sweet from the Zohar. Let's see. There must be 10 in the house of assembly at once. Why? The house of assembly means the desire or the vessel that we unite in. All right, so we're not talking about building where people go and get their heads into and come together. So in the house of assembly at once means that all of us with our desire and intention are all there at once. When that happens, okay, it must not be bit by bit, so as not to delay the wholeness of the organs. So when we all unite in one intention and desire, it needs to click at that time. It cannot be partial. It needs to be complete. It needs to be complete by everyone. Okay, and that's why it's 10 in the house of assembly, a perfect structure inside our vessel, right? That's what the house is. All 10 are as organs of one body in which the Shekhinah is present. For the Creator made man at once and established all his organs together. So all of our organs means what all of our desire to receive. Okay, so all of that needs to be one whole. It can only be one and whole if it's directed towards bestowal. Right? Remember what we said about having a flaw or being imperfect, right? If I lack something, I'm imperfect. But if I dedicate everything, my whole desire, to bestowal, then we established the whole man, like in its completeness with all its organs. All of the desires are directed towards bestowal and bestowal only. Okey-dokey. Now then, let's see what we've got. We've got excerpt number 11. Am I going too fast? I'm not reading too fast, huh? Okay. Item number 11. Our sages interpreted in Brachot 47b about one who's among the first 10 in the house of the assembly, that even if 100 follow him, he receives a reward equal to all of them, literally 100, since the 10 are incorporated in one another. They are 10 times 10, which is 100. And each of them is included in 100. Thus, even if 100 come, he will have the reward of 100. Also, this is why Israel are responsible for one another, since in each one there's truly a part of his friend. When one sins, he blemishes himself, and he blemishes the part that his friend has in him. It follows that as far as that part goes, his friend is responsible for him. Therefore, they're related to each other. For this reason, one should desire one's friend's benefit and look favorably upon one's friend's benefit. And his honor should be as dear to him as his own, for he is truly him. This is why we were commanded, love your friend as yourself. All right, so let's read that again. Our sages interpreted about one who's among the first 10 in the house of assembly, that even if 100 follow him, he receives a reward equal to all of them, literally 100. Since the 10 are incorporated in one another, they are 10 times 10, which is 100, and each of them is included in 100. Right, so each of us is 10 Sephirot, okay? And if all of my friends include in them 10 Sephirot, all of us are 10 times 10. So if you have a good group and you're well connected, you should never, ever lack the strength, okay? Obviously, when advancing spirituality, that connectedness helps. So when we're not in spirituality at the moment, what do I have to do? I have to try to build that connectedness somehow with the physical, with the corporeal world that I'm living, right? Otherwise, how am I going to connect with the guys? So until we get spiritual, we attain some degree of spiritual elevation, we have to connect through corporeal means, right? And we add to our corporeal framework, like such as the lessons, I don't know, the meals, the congresses, the gathering of friends, and all kinds of things we do, right, together. So I have to connect myself into those corporeal actions. And on top of that, try to always add the thought and the intention, towards what we want to attain, right? So I'm trying to work on the inner side, and I have to, since we live in corporeality, also work on the corporeal side. So we're going both of them together, right? And the more we're like stuck together like glue, the falls will be quick, short, and sweet. All right, so I can get a quick impression and just move forward straight away. If I'm disconnected, or if my connection is weak with the group, when I fall, it's harder to get up. Especially, it's very hard if you don't have a good framework. Okay, so if you don't have a good timetable, let's call it, right? You've got to have a good timetable, so you've got this routine, because corporeality, if you're like stuck in this routine, the body likes a routine actually. Okay, it likes a routine, it likes to do things in a routine, so it's like life is going smooth. If we're ad hoc all over the place, we also don't get much stuff done. Okay, so the more planned out, the more disciplined I am, the better I'm going to be connected with the group, because all of us are going to be in this routine together. And the more we are together in that routine, we're going to get more impressions from each other. We're also going to have the ability to give each other examples, the ability to support each other. We're going to have the ability to work intensely. And that intensity also creates the bridges and the connections that we're really going to need as we move forward in spirituality. So getting your framework, your timetable, your study correct is really, really important. Thus, even if 100 come, he will have the reward of 100. Also, this is why Israel are responsible for one another, since in each one there is truly a part of his friend. So in the 10, in order for me to feel that I am a part of the 10, I need to, stick my head in there somewhere. If I don't, it's a drama, all right? Because if I don't stick my head in there, the slightest little problem I have, even in corporeality, right? If, let's say, I don't know, I'm having a bad time at work or anything corporeal that disturbs me as well, that can even be a cause for a person to, slip out of the wagon and fall off. All right, so it's as easy as that. So in order for us to all get connected, a person really needs to do his best to connect himself to the environment, so the influence of the environment can hold that person. Otherwise, we're really weak, right, towards life. You know, one little thing happens and all of us are all of a sudden cursing at the Creator, right, for our bad misfortunes. And so what can you do, right? If we're that weak like little children, then, you know, we'll just fall off. So in order to be strong, until we, you know, are able to protect ourselves with a screen and, you know, a restriction, a screen and a returning light, we just have to do our best to maintain that framework. When one sins, he blemishes himself and he blemishes the part of his friend has in him. So if we behave irresponsibly, we're kind of like damaging everybody. Now, the thing is this, right? If I'm connected and I've got 10 friends, right? And if we all connect together, I'm getting 10 times 10 the power. Okay, so I'm getting really strong. And then I have the ability to do stuff. And even if I'm going through ups and downs, I have the power to maintain my schedule, framework, and continue and move forward, despite the fact that I'm feeling heaviness or tired or, you know, all kinds of I don't know, like falls, okay, whatever it may be, it doesn't really matter. Here is the opposite. If I don't fulfill what I'm supposed to fulfill, then guess what's going to happen? Well, the opposite of that's going to happen, isn't it? So the minute I'm not putting in there what I should be putting in there, I'm actually stealing from the friends. Well, how am I going to have to? I'm going to have to then compensate, aren't I? So how am I going to compensate? Well, the Creator is going to push me in the back with a slap in the head, and then we're going to have to compensate. Okay, it's as easy as that. Like our kids, they do something wrong a few times, we start screaming and yelling, right? Why? Because they need to understand they're doing something wrong. Okay, if you tell them once, they don't understand. Tell them twice, they don't understand. Third time, you're going to have to make sure they understand. Otherwise, it's just going to get dangerous for the kid. Okay, so here as well, a person, if a person is trying to connect all the time, the ups and downs are still going to happen, but you'll have the power, the ability to go through them with an understanding, or even if you don't have an understanding at the moment, you'll still have the power to go through those states. However, though, if you're getting slack, right, and then you're going to be a loose, weak link in the chain. And because you're that loose, weak link in the chain, it's going to be, hasta la vista kind of thing. So a person needs to maintain that thing in order to go for the long term, right? Remember, our work is a marathon. It's not a quick sprint. This is why the framework and the constantly keeping the framework, adding in there is very, very important. So it requires a sound, stable foundation, and then working with it all the time. So as we move forward, is if you're like 6, 7, 10 people in the group, doesn't really matter, right? If you're up to that number or several people in the group, everybody has to somehow enliven and energize the group. Otherwise, you'll all fall weak. And if I don't see examples from my friends all the time, then I'm going to be a disaster because I'm not going to get motivated. How are we getting motivated in life? By seeing other people progress. So if everybody isn't showing the group that we're strong, we're moving forward, come on, we can do it. If we're not in that kind of motivative mood and thrust, where everybody's giving a good example to everybody, we will not move forward, we will fall weak. Okay, so the group, in the group, everybody has to show the friends that they care, that they're responsible for the group, and everybody's like, very attentive to that. This is how, what does it say? Therefore, they're related to each other. Okay, this is how we relate to each other, because if I'm responsible for you, if you're responsible for me, and if we're all acting in that responsible way, in a loving and caring way for the attainment of the goal, then we're all going to feel like we're like related. Why? Because we've got a common goal. So if everybody's becoming a good example to everybody else in order to attain the goal that we want to attain, spirituality, then we find that point of connection. Then you'll discover that your connectedness or your connection is that point, which is the intention to bestow. And that's the point that we need to connect in, right? So a lot of people always ask, well, what's connection? What does it mean to be connected? It means that we're all striving for the same goal. And we're only going to get connected if we work in that direction. And if we don't work in that direction, it's not really going to happen, is it? So this is why everybody needs to feel that they're like related to each other. And the only way that's going to happen is if we all put in our half a cent. For this reason, one should desire one's friend's benefit. Okay, so all of us should be wanting the benefit of the friend. But what is the benefit of the friend, right? The benefit of the friend is their advancement towards the purpose of life. There is no other benefit. Okay, I cannot benefit my friend with anything else corporeally. At the end of the day, all of us have a shelf life. So in order for us to fulfill our prophecy, what is that? That's to get to the purpose of life, okay? We'll have to think about the benefit of the friend and how we can help them to get forward, to move forward, and to attain spirituality. So all of us need to look favorably upon one's friend's benefit. And his honor should be as dear to him as his own, for he is truly him. This is why we were commanded love your friend as yourself. So accordingly, all of us need to think about the benefit of the friend and to think that, you know, my friend and me are not different. You know, we have to try at least to think in that direction. Okay, so it's a little bit completely against our nature, not a little bit. It's completely against our nature to think about the benefit of others, but this is where we have to make an effort. And as we fail and flunk in that, we will have to turn to the Creator to help us out. Okay? And that's the whole point. So all of us need to make that effort. If we don't make that effort, we've got no chance to discover where we are failing. And if we don't know where we're failing, we cannot turn to the Creator with the correct prayer. So as you can see, everything is really related to each other, right, in this business. Okay, so all of the things that the Kabbalists are saying and they're advising us to do is only to make sure that, you know, we discover more and more on the path and then have the ability to truly turn to the Creator from the bottom of our heart in order to have an answer to that prayer. And before coming to a correct prayer, there's nothing really going to change our lives, because only the Creator can change a person. If we're a desire to receive and we're still in our egoistic state, you know, we're not going to be able to change that. We can't change our own nature. So a person needs to come to realize that state. And the only way to do it is if I start acting like they say they're saying we should act. Okay, so that is really, really important. Item number 12, excerpt number 12. This is from Baal Islam Introduction to the Book of Zohar. All right, stop me or slow me if I am talking too fast. I feel like I'm talking too fast today, but it's all like flowing through. Baal Islam Introduction to the Book of Zohar, number 68. Do not be surprised that one person's actions bring elevation or decline to the whole world. For it is an unbreakable law that the general and the particular are equal as two peas in a pod. Hence, all that applies to the general applies also to the particular. Moreover, the parts make what is found in the whole, for the general can appear only after the appearance of the parts in it. And according to the quantity and quality of the parts, evidently, the value of an act of an individual elevates or declines the entire collective. All right, this is also something we can see in the world, right? So one little war somewhere around the world, or even the Russia and Ukraine, where, as you can see, Mr. Putin started a war, and we're all kind of affected by it, right? Everybody. There's a nice article the other day about how India is going through a really tough time, because India is the biggest importer of cooking oils. And a lot of sunflower oil is coming from Russia and Ukraine, right? So all of a sudden now in India, they've got no cooking oil or a shortage of cooking oil. So the price of cooking oil has skyrocketed. So, that's just a simple example. If you think about the energy crisis that they're going through right now with gas and oil, because Russia is a big exporter of oil and gas. So it's a drama for everybody. Everybody has to now juggle things around, okay, because of one person. So one person is influencing everybody, and everybody's influencing one person, and it's just, we just need to understand we're all in the same boat here, right? We're like all stuck together. So the actions of one person can bring an elevation or a decline to the whole world. So for us, though, obviously we can't start with the whole world in spirituality, because the whole world's not in sync with the way we're going. So we have to start in the group. So think of this as how I behave in the group. If I behave in the group in a way that I can elevate the group, then it'll, I do one little action to elevate the group, and then everybody's enlivened and elevated. And if I do something silly or irresponsible, then we're all going down. Okay, so the whole group needs to think of itself as, little humanity, okay, a mini humanity together. And it's an unbreakable law that the general and the particular are equal as two peas in a pod. At the end of the day, that's true as well. We're all under the same sky. Okay, so if we're getting if we're getting a storm, we're all in the storm. Also, if there's a storm somewhere else on the planet, we still get impacted all over, right? So, for example, a tsunami in Russia, in Japan, right? We had a tsunami in Japan, and then there was a reactor, nuclear reactor, kind of got dysfunctional, and there was radiation in the sky. Who got all the radiation rain? Well, a lot of people around the world did. I know we did in the Middle East as well. Okay, so think about it. Japan, right in the Far East, goes through a tsunami, and we get radiation rain. So things are like really connected. We're all in this system, and you can't really get out of it. So all of us, actually, humanity is beginning to understand slowly, hopefully it'll be a bit faster soon, right? Because we're a little slow. And what we have to understand that all of us need to coexist and coincide in a responsible way together, so that we can balance out like nature is balanced. And if we don't, nature will balance us out in the way it does with storms, tsunamis, also wars and all kinds of stuff. These are all also nature acting, because humanity, like we're humans, we're also part of nature. So if our nature is egoistic, and if it's bad by birth, we're all going to be obviously in conflict, right? We're all going to be causing harm as well. So humanity needs to understand how dysfunctional it is. And on the other hand, we have to see how we need to come to balance like nature is in balance. Otherwise, we're just going to go from bad to worse. Hence, all that applies to the general applies to the particular. Moreover, the parts make what is found in the whole, for the general can appear only after the appearance of the parts in it, and according to the quantity and quality of the parts. Evidently, the value of an act of an individual elevates or declines the entire collective. So we all have to understand that, just like I was talking about a few excerpts earlier, right? We're all part of this system called Adam Harishon, or call it the soul of Adam Harishon, doesn't really matter. Adam Harishon is a system where we're all integrated and connected. And if somebody is not functioning, or if an organ is not functioning properly, that whole body is going to suffer, right? Just like having a cancerous cell, it starts off with 1 or 2 cells, and then they start eating everybody else. Next thing you know, your whole body is gone. So if I have, 1 organ missing, I can't function. Imagine not having your kidneys, God forbid, right? You're just not going to make it. Okay, it's not going to happen. It's a small part, about this big, but, you can't do without it. Okay, a little pea-sized part in the brain is controlling this whole interconnected mind. So if you don't have that, you're all gone. So this is the whole thing with humanity as well. One little part can really cause havoc for the whole body, and obviously, make it bad for all of us. So the whole of humanity actually needs to raise themselves into the state of perfection. Otherwise, we're all going to be in a bit of a dramatic situation. And this is, this is also where the world is going right now. We're going from one drama to the other, right? So we had the virus, then we had the war. The virus is seemingly giving us a bit of a rest. It's not really giving us a rest, actually. The only reason we're not thinking about the virus is because we've got other things happening like this war, right? So the war is now important. So everybody's talking about that. But I think I'm thinking around August, we should have another virus situation. So be careful. So don't get all loosened up. Let's just focus on how we can correct ourselves, all right? So towards the end of summer, we'll go through another cycle, right? Because humanity is only learning and learning and learning through getting slaps, all right? So this is how it's going to happen. So one wave, have a little bit of a rest, and then another wave. Have a little bit of a rest, and then another wave. And then these waves will just get higher in frequency. As they get higher in frequency, we're like, okay, enough is enough. Let's get corrected already. Okay, that's where life will bring us to. Okay, in the interim, then Ingrid's asking, why did the Creator bring certain people together in order to bestow? Well, that we'll have to ask him, right? We don't really know. Think about it, right? Just like I said, like we have a big body and a small kidney, and we can't do without it. Right? So everybody in the world is actually necessary. There cannot be anyone in the world who is not needed. If something or someone is created, they have a role in the system. So those who awaken are those who need to fulfill a certain role so that the next step can be achieved. That's the whole idea, right? It's like growing up. It's like a baby being born, right? A baby is being born as a small human being, right? But it can't use its legs, it can't use its hands, it just doesn't know where it is, okay? However, though, it's still born with the legs and the arms, right? Like a full human being, but smaller. Why? If it's not going to use its legs until it's 2 or 3, why have them, right? Why give the mother the peril of birth pain by bringing out a big baby when it's not going to use its hands or legs until it gets stronger, right? Why? Because that discernment is adding meat, okay? So all the parts in the body are actually important, despite the fact that we may not be using them actively at the moment, okay? They're required so we can get impressions and discernments from them, right? It allows us to understand where everything fits in gradually. So the whole of humanity is kind of in that state as well. As we develop more and more, we begin to understand where everything and everyone fits in to that body of Adam Harishon, or to that structure of Adam Harishon. Right? So it's a matter of development, and these are phases we're going through. And initially, what develops is those sensory organs first, right? The baby smells, tastes, wants to taste everything. So this is how we're developing. So, this is a process. So the whole of humanity is also going through the same situation. Ingrid's asking, should one take the path of educating oneself in school, though? In school? Well, when you say school, should one take the path of educating oneself in school? School, though. Well, we are. B'nai Baruch is a school, actually, isn't it? We're like a school. We're all learning there. We're sitting at a table every day and learning. So we're pretty much students of the wisdom of Kabbalah, studying and learning. And everyone will have to come to learn, right? We cannot advance in life by just getting beaten up and suffering and feeling miserable and depressed. This is not a way to develop. This will only bring us closer to hearing a solution to our problems, but it will not correct our situation. So as we study more and more, because we're all connected to humanity as well, will also cause awakening in people as well. Right? This is how humanity also elevates itself. Through one little spark, a fire starts. And this is how it happens as well. So as we develop spiritually, those around us, close to us, will start to awaken as well. So we'll have those little ripple effects happening. All right, so whoever is ready, the creator wakes up, and we should all take the opportunity to fulfill our destiny. Okay, if we are, if we're looking for the meaning of life, if we've kind of been given that little nudge from above, a little pinch, and the creator has kind of awakened us, I think we all need to take that opportunity and push forward so that we can come to the purpose of life. And in life, we'll see more and more that humanity will not find a meaning to life. They'll be like miserable internally miserable. Everybody's going to be thinking, why am I doing the things I'm doing? It's just like silly, running around every day. Who needs this stuff? Seriously, we'll get there as well. I talked about people leaving work a few years ago, and then, as you know, after the pandemic, masses of people started resigning from work. They just left work. They just don't want to work. There was a really nice article today, I think it was in the New York Times, and it said even people who've been taken into work, right? They've gone through the process of interviews, they've been accepted to work, and they've been given a job willingly, right? They applied for a job and they got the job, and then they can't contact the person. They just never turn up. It's an interesting time we're going through, and there are hundreds, because it's not one or two, it's thousands of people. This is why it's a newspaper article. Thousands of people who've applied for jobs, got the jobs, the conditions they want, and they just don't show up. So we're going through a state, and this virus, I think, as we predicted as well, would change humanity, the way we, evaluated our lives, took a look at how we live, and so on. So it's really nice to see these changes in humanity. However, though, these changes are only nice if they're compensated by some explanation as to why we're feeling unfulfilled. Because going through these states without understanding the cause for the unfulfillment is just going to cause a bigger problem, isn't it? I mean, not showing up to work is not going to be a solution for the person either. So the person has to understand why he or she is not happy, unfulfilled, doesn't want anything. Why are we in this mode? All right. So these are important things that we need to obviously trying to do as well with our dissemination as much as we can. Right? So it's very important also to help the friends in the group, but also to help humanity so that they understand why they're feeling this emptiness inside. Right? As it gets bigger and bigger, it'll cause problems if they don't find answers. Okay, they'll just, go into lanes which you don't want to go down. In the interim, though, it is coming up to 3 minutes to 9 p.m. and I think we've covered pretty much a lot of stuff today. Hopefully I'll see you guys next week. Have a great evening or a day. All the best. Bye-bye.